BBC News at midday. Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister says Russia has agreed a 12-hour ceasefire in 6 of the areas worst affected by fighting to allow civilians to escape. Irina Vereshchuk urged Moscow to stick to what it had promised. The humanitarian corridors are intended to remain open until the middle of the evening in several cities, including outlying parts of the capital, Kyiv. Thousands of people have fled Russian bombardment under similar arrangements in recent days, but in some cases Russia has been accused of shelling the exit routes. The Ukrainian MP Dmytro Hurin is from Mariupol and has been receiving updates from the besieged city.
There are really bodies on the streets and they count rising. They made the first mass grave for 33 people because the cemetery is inaccessible because of shelling. There are no water at all and people are collecting snow. The food is only for 3-5 days and then hunger begins.
Ukrainian officials say 22 people, including 3 children, were killed in a Russian air attack on the city of Sumy in the northeast on Monday night. Fighting is continuing north and northwest of Kyiv, but Ukraine says its troops are holding their positions. An army source has confirmed to the BBC that a British soldier has gone absent without leave and may be trying to make his way to Ukraine. The Sun newspaper says that a 19-year-old Coldstream Guardsman left his barracks at Windsor and bought a ticket to Poland over the weekend. The Ministry of Defence has not confirmed the report, but it issued a statement saying all service personnel were banned from travelling to Ukraine until further notice. Major General Jonathan Shaw, a former Assistant Chief of Defence Staff, is concerned by the development.
If he's AWOL, he'll have his pay cut. He faces a jail sentence when he returns, and so he'll be punished by Britain for going. The fear, I suspect, is that the Russians will portray this as Britain getting actively involved, and it draws us closer to that, what we're all trying to avoid, which is NATO ending up in a punch-up with Russia.
Ukraine's ambassador to the UK has urged the government to relax visa rules for a limited time to allow refugees to get out of his country faster. Appearing before the Home Affairs Committee of MPs, Vadim Pristaiko said more than 7 million people have been displaced as a result of the Russian invasion. The government says it has issued visas to 760 Ukrainians so far to join their families here, out of 22,000 applications received. The Transport Secretary Grant Shapps said the process was being improved, but he argued that the Ukrainian president didn't want people to travel too far from their homeland.
President Zelensky is saying to us he wants people to stay closer to Ukraine so that they can come back and assist in the rebuild. But that's not to say that we don't want to assist in every way possible, which is why we've got a lot more visa application spaces available. It's gone from 800 a day to 6,000 a day.
The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has left Moscow for talks with his Ukrainian counterpart Dmytro Kuleba in Turkey tomorrow. Mr. Kuleba said he had limited expectations. Heineken beer has become the latest brand to pull out of Russia in protest at the invasion of Ukraine. The Dutch company said it would immediately stop the production, advertising and sale of Heineken in Russia. An expedition has located the wreck of the Endurance, the lost ship of the Antarctic explorer Sir Ernest Shackleton. It was discovered in 10,000 feet of water at the bottom of the Weddell Sea, where it was crushed by ice and sank in 1915. Video of the wreck of the Endurance shows it to be in remarkable condition, as Menson Bound, the expedition's director of exploration, described.
She's upright on the seabed. She's well proud of the surface of the seabed. She's largely intact. A little bit of damage to the bow deck, a little bit of damage to the starboard side, but she's there. She's bold. She's beautiful. It's everything I'd ever dreamed of.
BBC News.
And for more on what's happening in Ukraine, you can download Ukrainecast, which is presented by Victoria Derbyshire and Gabriel Gatehouse. They're talking to BBC experts on the ground in Ukraine and Russia. The daily podcast is available now on BBC Sounds. And next we continue Sea Change by Alex Nathan. Unable to walk or speak, Sarah is being nursed back to health in the village of Sourthorpe, where the parson has a strange plan for her. The reader is Samantha Spiro.
Episode 3. As the new century stumbles forward, the hopeless peace of Amiens collapses, and war with France renews to last another 12 years. Napoleon is crowned in Notre Dame. In Sourthorpe, Sned is fired up by the figure of Napoleon. Now we hear that the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit has done so again to make war against us. Now the angels of the apocalypse will pour out their vials full of the wrath of God upon the earth in retribution, for ye have all sinned, all of you. Not many fully believe they've brought about Napoleon's hostility. Nevertheless, terror of invasion spreads. It's not entirely surprising that Sarah becomes a focus for the frightened people. They grant her a kind of symbolism, believe that if they treat her well, even with reverence, her grace may protect them. At first, she's carried into St. Wilfrid's on a board like the wounded from a battlefield. Her legs are wrapped in a blanket. She is pale, and her eyes are open, yet seem not to see as she passes down the aisle to be placed at the foot of the pulpit steps. The people of Sourthorpe stare. Yes, they assure themselves, she is beautiful. With a look of ferocity, Sned surveys the congregation, these days swollen in number by the curious. I well know you have all heard of this woman, for gossip and rumour spread through this village like the poisonous boils of plague, and affect you each one. Know that in his epistle, James tells us that the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. The tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. Expect to learn, for you shall mend your wicked ways. This woman without a name is here to be an example to you, and you will learn from her example. Hester flinches, her knuckles white on her prayer book. When exhausted and anxious they finally stand to sing, they